We're here to speak to item 8, which is the Minoru Place Activity Center reuse options. And we're pleased to support the staff recommendation to reuse the seniors site as an arts center. This is a very important issue for the Richmond Arts Coalition as well as for the city. This afternoon I sent forward to Council the letter that the Arts Coalition had sent back in February in support of this program. And I just wanted to touch when the current cultural center was opened back in 1993, we have had no increase in purpose-built arts spaces in Richmond for programming. And there's been 2/3 of the population growth since then. And so having this center repurposed as close as it is to the existing cultural center, particularly with the floor as used for dance, is something that we feel is both expense-wise for the City Council as well as for the arts community, a very, very important place. And so I urge you to support the staff recommendation to reuse this space as arts and to support it with a appropriate repurposing for that space. Rob, would you like to add anything to what I've said?
Just frankly, we really need the space. We have a burgeoning arts movement on the way. We have a lot of artists coming to Richmond. We have a lot of professional artists that are developing their craft in Richmond. We also have a lot of community arts and family-based community arts that we need to support. And a space like this is going to go a long way to helping us accommodate those needs.
Well, yeah, can you elaborate a little more on the kind of wait list for the various groups in the current Arts and Culture Center?
Well, I'm sure that city art staff could fill you in a lot more, but there is, from my knowledge, a large wait list. Almost multiple programs have wait lists for everything from dance to visual arts to just everything. So there's quite a backlog that we need to accommodate.
And if I could add to that, I know that the dance programs are particularly long wait-listed, and having the use of this building with the existing floor would be so much quicker. As well as the Potters are extremely overbooked. They don't have enough time in there, as well as the textiles. The textiles right now, they have a wait list there, and the room is overcrowded as it is.
Councillor Day, you had a question?
Yes, I do. I mean, thank you so much for coming forward. Well, we're excited to have this space available, and my question was two questions. One, is it possible to commingle purposes? So in other words, maybe if it's dance in the evening, it could be something else during the day in the gym, or if it's, textiles during the weekends, could be something else during the week. And then the other question is on page 115 of our report, I've pointed out $1.1 million to be phased in over 10 years as needed, and that would just be to keep the building functioning so that, because it's an old building, it's not going to last 50 years. So what's your position on multi-use of the space and the funding just to keep it as it is?
Well, if I may, for multi-use, it's not only recommended, it's necessary. We do want to use multiple uses. Richmond is just dying for a mid-level venue. We have a lot of different actors and musical acts like myself who need a mid-level venue that's not quite at the level of the Gateway Theatre that we can afford to rent out to put on major events, plus the community groups that need a space to accommodate the overflowing dance and other creative arts. So multi-use for sure. As far as money-wise goes, yes, I definitely understand that the building is going to need some upgrades to get to just to stay open and keep going, for sure. I think it's definitely a worthwhile investment for a burgeoning art scene.
Just a follow-up question. So a major renovation wouldn't be necessary. Just work with what we have.
We would love a major renovation. That would be ideal. I'd love a full sound system and millions of dollars, but we will work with what we have. But to keep to keep the building open is very necessary for arts, for sure. And just to keep it up to code, as you mentioned, is going to cost some money.
And if I could add to that, certainly the multi-use of any facility is probably the best use of the space as well as the money. But to have it so that it can be used may actually cost a little bit more money, so that more groups can use it. Right now they're talking with the photography club, just as an example. They need dark blinds, and so to be able to use that for, as an example, the photography club, you may have to retrofit. Sorry, a slip of this tongue there.
We may have to.
You may have to, yes,
No,
we may. We all may have to. Put some money in for blinds, as an example, but that doesn't mean to say that cannot then be used when they're not there. So a little bit more to begin with, but in the end, stretch the uses.
Basically, the basis of keeping it open is important, but any money that we can invest beyond keeping it open, we can increase the professional use of arts in this area, and professional arts is really a place that I'd also like to see us grow in Richmond.
Well, we can have those discussions in due course, but thank you for coming and telling us about your position. Oh, Councillor McNulty, did you have?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and thank you for coming forward as a support of the arts. I guess I have a concern that I appreciate the euphoria you're coming from, but this building is not going to answer all the problems.
I couldn't hear you.
It's not going to answer all the problems.
Okay.
It's only going to alleviate some of the pressing needs that we have. I guess my question to you from the arts community is, do you have a priority list now of what is very pressing and what activity? You don't have to give us the answer now, but I'm very concerned of who's going to say who's going to get in there and how are we going to go about it, because it's not up to us to decide who's going there. So I'm just wondering, you mentioned the gateway. Well, not everybody from the gateway, because if the pay is going to rush to this building, I hope we're going to look after the people that haven't had any space for a good deal of the time. So as executive director, I hope you'll be involved in that, and as chair of the arts, I hope you already have a pressing need. You mentioned a few tonight, but I'd like to see that master list of priorities.
Well, we directly work with city arts staff and multiple community groups. And as you know, we're working now in the new year on the new art strategic plan for Richmond, which is going to accommodate in fine detail a lot of those things that you like. In the meantime, we do have recommendations that we can make with city art staff consultation towards who are the priority list. But it sounds like what you're saying is possibly a whole new arts building could accommodate more arts. Is that what you're saying?
I didn't say that, but I would say that down the road, obviously, we would need it, because this building only has a certain life. But it also has it's very irregular in terms of its shape and spaces and what have you. And I would hope that you would be able to move in without too much adjustment once the seniors move out of it, and it becomes functional immediately and not sitting there while we retrofit it for the next 18 months and you finally get in there in 2020 when we should get you in there at the end of 2018.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, question from Councillor Liu.
Thank you, through the chair. It seems to me there's a variety of age ranges who are served by this. Can you tell me about who's covered by that?
Oh, I'd say it's the entire gamut. You'd run from youth who would be coming from youth programming, like the dance programming we mentioned at the Cultural Center. Okay. They are just busting at the seams for more programming space.
Okay.
All the way up to seniors. I met a lot of seniors who have been into, especially from the textiles, who have reached me saying that they're very interested in more space. So it would definitely be an all ages sort of place for sure.
Perfect, thank you. My son started with one of the programs at 3 years old and he loves it.
Yeah.
And it seems to me that you guys also do some of the summer camps too and help, and so you provide space for kids to be looked after in a safe, licensed environment, and have quality arts instruction. So by moving into this space, does that expand some of our availability then for some of the arts camps and things we'll be able to have this summer?
It's a massive expansion. I mean, it's not going to be, as we said, like 50 years down the road, enough to accommodate us as Richmond is growing at such a rapid rate, but it's definitely going to help there.
Certainly, but it looks like it might help out a lot of families.
Oh, it's going to help families of all income levels, and it's very fantastic to have that opportunity for these children to participate in community arts, for sure.
Thank you.
And if I could just address Councillor McNulty's comments, certainly the Arts Coalition would be prepared to work not just on the repurposing of this building, which, you know, I hope you will support, but down the road in the future, certainly plan for, you know, some larger facility that might be fit more into the future. But we recognize that that is in the future, and the needs are right now and immediate. And that's why the reuse of this building, the retrofitting of this building to ensure that it meets the current needs of families, of children, of seniors, and professional artists is so needed. And so I really do encourage you to support this.
Councillor Steves.
Yeah, I definitely support it, but I do have a question, because I think the more money we spend on it, the longer we put off having a real arts center. And so I guess my question is, and I've suggested this to staff, that rather than spending a lot of money adapting the building to fit this art group that's that big, and can you work to fit the art groups to the spaces we've got, keep the prices down, and then knock the building down as quickly as possible and build a new one? That's what I would like to see.
I think I'll take that one. Having a space is one thing, but to have a space that suits the needs is certainly something that we would hope that the council will support. We won't say no to any space, but we certainly would want some space that fits what the needs are. And so, you know, having some money invested into the building to ensure that it can facilitate the needs of as many groups as possible, I think from council's perspective, and certainly from the arts perspective, would certainly benefit a wider portion of people.
And if I may, Councillor Steves, right now, I think we're here today is really to just portray the immediacy of the importance of this, is that we're currently turning children away from programming that would help them develop their arts crafts. And we all know that arts and culture is very important to everyone and community.
I guess all I'm asking is see if you can adapt those programs to the existing rooms rather than have to knock a whole wall out or put another wall in. You may not be able to do it, but
I like the idea, and I do like the idea of a really nice professional art center in the future. You know, on a larger scale is what I mean. Yeah. But just right now, the cultural center is bursting at the seams. It's really bursting. So that's what this is kind of important.
So I take it that in your vision, it's not necessarily a bunch of new uses in the arts. I mean, it could be largely, at least, an expansion of the programs that we already have and making them more accessible to more people.
Yes, that would be, from I think our perspective, the majority. We would hope to be able to shoehorn a few new ones in, but yes, by and large, that would be the answer.
Fair enough. Thank you. Any speakers on that? Councillor Steves.
Thank you, Worship. The only one I want to comment on is the Minoru Arts Center activity space. I've already sort of commented on it, but some years ago we were discussing putting a multi-purpose building in and actually using the airspace for seniors housing above it. And I think that at that time that was a vision for a long time in the future, but the future is now when basically we've got shortage of living space. A lot of people are retiring and moving out of their houses in Richmond looking for places to live. So I'm hoping that we'll be looking at this site for a major arts activity building. And that's the original plans were for an arts center for both the visual arts and the performing arts and museum space as well. and other activities that would be there. And the suggestion had been that people the airspace would be living space. So I'm hoping we'll find a way of renovating this building so it isn't too costly, so that when the time comes in a few years from now and it's to replan the place, that it won't be a big hit on the city to knock something down we just spent a lot of money on, and that we will get on with building a major new arts facility in what I think is the most important part of Richmond in the city centre, which was the original intention at Minoru Park, that this should be our core arts area. And I'm hoping that we will expand the arts in this particular site in the future. And so 1 and 2 says we would use this building for community education and art space, and that community education and art space be considered as part of the Minoru Park vision plan. So my vision plan is, yes, it should be part of the Minoru Park vision plan, and yes, we should use this building in the short term, but the vision should be expanded in the future to a bigger and better art center.